All right, guys, we are back with another video, and this one is going to be about our hottest takes about DCI. And,
Yep.
you know, Grayton's here, by the way, and we love Grayton. He's been in a couple videos so far, but Grayton has some pretty hot takes.
Okay.
But he's not going to say his hottest takes because I think that would even honestly get him in trouble.
I would get in trouble, but everyone wants me to do this video with him because I get made fun of all the time in this house for my takes on drum corps.
Yep.
And some of them are kind of crazy.
They're crazy.
Like, I understand, but they are like in accordance with my opinions.
With
and,
your
like,
beliefs.
My beliefs on the activity
Sure.
and like what I like
Right.
in the activity.
And you know what? Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
And it's
There's
not
no wrong opinion. So let's just jump into it. So here's how I think we're going to do this. We're each going to go back and forth and give one of our hot takes.
Okay.
And then at the end, we're going to talk about the hot takes that you, the community, gave us. So we'll go through those at the end. All right, so let's go ahead and start. I'll start with my first hot take, which is that DCI will fold in 5 years tops. So let me explain. I'm not saying that DCI is going to be like done and the activity is going to cease to exist. I'm saying the DCI that we know now, the current format, will be gone within 5 years because it is so expensive and it keeps getting more expensive. And I think what will happen eventually is that DCI will kind of change into the model that WGI is, which is regional shows, and then everyone flies to a certain place for the final championship, a week of final championship.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think like DCI will fold or anything, but I think the like whole summer long tour, like going all over the country, that might change. Like I think it might turn more into like a regional thing, and then maybe at the end of the summer everyone flies to one place.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is what like open class already does. You know what I mean? Like open class kind of already does this. But yeah, I think, you know, cadets just folded, SCV had to fold for a year. Like groups are going to start dropping out to the point where the community is going to say, okay, we need to figure out how to do
figure something out. Yeah.
So that's my first take.
Okay. Again, this is my opinion.
That's my opinion!
Yeah, guys, so before you get your pitchforks in the comments, you know, it's okay to have a different opinion than yours.
Yeah.
Let's have some empathy.
Like, I know that this is a hot take, okay? My first take is that 2016 finals results should have been Crown in first, Blue Devils in second, and Blue Coats in third. That might be my hottest take.
Wow, okay.
But that is just in accordance with my taste in a show. Like Crown 16, I was marching Southwind at the time, and we were at some show somewhere, and like the headliner or like the biggest corps there was Crown. So I sat like down right on the 50 in the middle and watched Crown, and I remember like the color guard making me cry, just like by watching the guard. Not even like music or anything. Like the guard made me cry, and that is like the only time that's ever happened. The music was incredible. I think that's one of the best horn lines I've ever heard.
100%.
The best music, like best arrangements I've ever heard. I thought that was one of the strongest years for Crown Percussion. Everything. That's I love that show. That's my favorite Crown show by far. Like, you know,
that's my favorite Crown show too.
Okay.
So like I'm not like 2016 was a packed year, and I think Crown 16, I wish that show happened any other year than that year, because Crown 16 does deserve all the flowers, and it is my personal favorite Crown show. But putting it over Blue Coats,
Blue Devils 16 is my favorite Blue Devils show. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
The ballad is my favorite.
So many people tell me that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Blue Devils 16 ballad is my favorite ballad ever. Like, I thought the arrangement was incredible. I thought the horn line was great. The front ensemble writing in that ballad is beautiful. Like, that's my favorite thing ever. And then Blue Coats being in third, like, that is, I fully recognize, like, and support that, like, it won. It was like an activity pushing, boundary pushing show. Like, I get it. But I thought it was just like not quite that clean, like from a visual standpoint, from a musical standpoint.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
And like other than the like drastic change in uniforms and like the props being like cool and like no one ever like using props that way. But like other than that, for me and my taste, like it just wasn't as interesting or exciting as Crown or Blue Devils that year for me.
Well, if you agree, let us know in the comments. But let's move on to my second hot take, which is that Caption Awards should be based on finals night scores only. And I know you disagree with this, but okay, here's my logic, all right? I'm all or nothing, all right? Either we make all of the scores, all of the awards should all be an average of 3 nights, or all of them should be just one night.
See, I kind of get that.
So, like, you know, and I get it, like, you know, you want to have a little bit more of, like, who is the greatest, like, who brings it every single night, but I'm the kind of person that's like, if you can't show up under pressure, you lose. You know what I mean? Like, Carolina Crown 2015, they showed up in 2015 on finals night, had a bad run, they lost. Like, that's how it goes. And I think the same thing, I think, should be applied to finals night runs only. Like, it's about who shows up when it counts, when it matters, and does the thing.
I get that, but like I do love that the factor of consistency is a very significant aspect of the Caption Awards.
Sure.
And it's like you could argue that like you, in order to like be as consistent as possible, that means like showing up on finals night and doing it like on command, you know. But I like it the way it is, being an average of 3. I like that factored in of consistency. Like I've been a part of groups that like, you know, we weren't quite as consistent night to night, and we didn't win drums, you know, like.
True. But anyways, that's my second.
It'd be interesting to see, you know. I don't support that, but
yeah,
it would be cool, I guess.
It would be interesting. It would be interesting.
Okay, here's another one that I've been flamed for in the past. My second hot take is that Troopers Percussion should be top 5. I like, okay, people seem to think that like, I've heard people say Troopers Percussion is just like a watered down Vanguard, which like it kind of is, I guess, because like it's the same writers, it's the Renix writing, but the quality and intention of the writing, it's like a lot of the times their writing feels so much more purposeful to me than other like top 5 groups.
Sure.
Like particularly front ensemble writing, like oftentimes I feel front ensemble writing struggles because it feels like people are just writing notes just to fill space. Like there's not really a like meaningful intention behind the notes on the page. And they're clean, and like the quality to which they achieve what they're doing. Granted, it might not be the most difficult music ever, but it's done so well and like with such intent and such meaning, like, and purpose to the show, and it's achieved at a very high level. There's like no reason to me why they shouldn't be placing top 5 or at least like significantly higher.
Yeah, that's a good take. That's a good take.
Okay.
All right, my last hot take. This is a hot one. Is that most people who don't like the Blue Devils shows just don't take enough time to actually understand them. Now, okay, I already know that there's gonna be a lot of you that hate this take. Now, I'm not calling
people are gonna get you for this one.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying
I'm smarter than you and you just don't get it
type thing, which is probably what you think I'm saying. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that I think there is a lot of fatigue about, like, there's a lot of Blue Devils fatigue. Like, people see year after year Blue Devils win over and over again, while at the same time, all these other great shows are happening. And it's true, there's a lot of great shows that are happening, and the Blue Devils keep winning, right? And so I think what that has kind of evolved into in a lot of these people is like, Blue Devils shows are bad. Like, it's turned into it's turned into something not like, oh, I think this show is a little better, and it's turned into, I think this Blue Devil shows are actually bad. And I think that is like disingenuous, and I think you're kind of not doing a service as a fan of the activity to like understand why the Blue Devils are winning and why they're so great and why they've done so well. So I think that most people who have just this blanket statement of like, Blue Devils are overrated, shouldn't have won, their shows are just all they do is write their shows to win. I think if any of those people went and like really, really sat and watched the show and like tried to like think, what are they telling me? What are they going for? if those people did that, they'd be like, oh, this show is actually pretty cool. I'm actually seeing things that are really great, and I understand why. You don't have to love it, but that's my take. People who don't like little shows just don't take the time to actually understand them.
I agree.
I mean, this is coming from two Blue Devils, but you know, and it's like another comment I'll get in response is like, oh, like
I shouldn't have to try to understand. Like, if I have to go and learn about a show, then like that's not the point.
Like, if you want someone to spoon feed you like a show and like say this is what it's about and just enjoy it, and that's not pushing the activity forward in any way. But that's not creative to me. But that's my hot take. I don't even bother. Don't even
get on your keyboard. I know what you're gonna say.
No,
I don't even care
because I want to read the comments.
Right, I read all the comments. But anyways, that's not a surprising take for me. If you've been watching this channel, you know that's not surprising for me. But that is my last hot take.
Okay, here's my last take. I think Cavaliers should not have won drums in 2023.
I agree.
Okay, I'll start off by saying I think Blue Coats should have won drums in 2023.
That's a good take.
And right before we sat down to make this video, I went back and watched the percussion recording of Cavaliers 23 and watched the percussion recording of Blue Coats 23.
Yeah.
They were filmed at around the same times, like towards the end of the season. I think, and this is not to discredit the members.
That was a great, Cavaliers had a great percussion section. We're not talking about they're bad or anything.
No.
Yeah.
The Cavaliers book that year, I thought was very easy and like kind of elementary in a lot of ways. Granted, it was performed at like the highest level. Like they
super
were
clean,
very clean, very well balanced, like mature approach, like everything. Like again, like the quality to which they played, like they are not undeserving of the percussion award. Like
right.
I do think Blue Coats percussion that year had a significantly harder, like challenging book, and a book with more intention and like purposeful meaning to the show design.
Yeah,
and they achieved it just as well. Particularly the front ensemble, like they were playing stuff that like it is so difficult as a solo marimbas. And that whole marimba line, it was like so good. It was so clean. Like, so.
Hey, those are our hot takes. Hold on.
I've got a lot more.
Oh yeah, we got some from you guys. Okay, now we're gonna go through some of the hot takes that y'all left for us on the Instagram. I made a post and I asked, "What's your hottest take?" So let's go ahead and rapid fire some of these hot takes. You guys, are you ready? Crown 2015 deserved no higher place than second. Wow.
Agree.
That, and I love the wording of this, which is no higher than second, meaning that it could have even gotten third, fourth, fifth, which is crazy. I don't agree with this. I think it deserves second or first, honestly. I think Crown 15 is an incredible show.
Yeah, but like I do think BD 15 like fully deserved that win, like without a doubt. Like I thought BD 15 was like the clear winner.
Sure.
And you know, I'm biased, whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know. I support that.
DCI isn't bad or fallen off. You're just old. That's interesting. Because there's a lot of people like, oh, DCI sucks now. You're just old.
I mean, I guess
I think I kind of agree. I think DCI is great. Like I think DCI is very, very doing well.
I'll just say I don't think DCI has
fallen off. Yeah, and I think that if I think the you're just old comment is like people who are like, oh, it was so much better back in.
It's just an entirely different activity now. Like it's just so different compared to like pre-COVID. You know, like. I don't think DCI like hasn't recovered since COVID necessarily. I just think it's changed so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Troopers are the most underestimated drum corps. There you go. Hey, you found someone who thinks alike.
That might agree with me.
Yep. Carolina Crown 2012 should have gone first. Hard disagree. Go watch 2012 Blue Devils. That's all I have to say. Blue coats are a gimmick core. That is a hot take for sure. I don't want to say gimmick. Do blue coats definitely use everything that the activity allows them to use? Do they pull all of the possible? Do they push the rules to their extent? Yes. Is that a gimmick? No. That's just pushing the activity forward.
That's like their identity as being the like boundary pushing, like risk taking core from like a concept standpoint and like a musical standpoint. Yeah, gimmick core, no.
Yeah. Ooh, this one's interesting. It says paying to be an alternate performer is not worth it. If you don't know what an alternate performer is, contracts now will contract someone to be basically a bench player. If someone gets hurt, they'll join the core and they'll do the shows when someone's injured, or they'll do the rest of the season. And like Blue Devils has a lot of alternates. Usually it's like a less fee, like a lower fee to be an alternate. Yeah. But paying to be an alternate is not worth it. I kind of agree.
I guess, but like, I feel like it's late, at least from like BD. Like, I feel like it's laid out pretty clearly.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
You're not. The expectation
there's
is,
no confusion.
And like, there's no confusion about it. It might be a significantly cheaper fee to go on tour as an alternate, but like, being able to just be there and maybe like fill in on some days, just the educational opportunity, like being able to travel the country with your friends the whole summer, like you're just paying for the experience.
I never got that opportunity, so I can't say what that would have been like, but I know that I learned everything I did to get into the Blue Devils because I marched a 23rd place core, And so it's like a question, do you want to be an alternate at the best core, or do you want to be a member at the worst core? And I don't know, it's hard to say, But I went the route of just going out there and doing it every single day, being on the field. Yeah. So I think it's a personal preference. I think that I know people who have been an alternate that the next year they're in the core. So that's also another thing, is like if you get to an alternate spot at your dream core, that's probably a good option, because then you get to be in the core.
They know you, they know your work ethic, they can see like your improvement. It's definitely like a plus for sure.
Yeah. BD innovates every year, and yet the activity only changes when Blue Coats or Crown do something different. That is a very interesting comment. I've never thought about it this way. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I do think it's very interesting that I do believe the Blue Devils do a lot to innovate. They do change the activity a lot. But when Crown or Blue Coats, especially when they do it, it really shifts things a lot more than when Blue Devils do it.
Yeah, I definitely like see what they mean. I guess I think BD pushes the activity in regards to like the way that other cores perform. And I guess I do think that like Blue Coats, for instance, tend to change the activity as a whole more, I guess. Like they're the ones that really push the boundaries of the rules and stuff, of DCI. So I guess I kind of agree. But then again, it's just, there's different metrics. So each core, I don't know.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to measure any sort of like innovation or what changes activity, but that is a very interesting thing to think about. Yeah. Okay, we'll do a couple more. This one says open class cores work harder than world class. This one's interesting. I would say that maybe being in an open class core is tougher of a summer than being in a world class core.
Being in an open class core is harder than being in a world class core.
Are you working harder? I don't know. People work hard.
I don't
people
think so.
work hard everywhere. I mean, we'll say this: at the Blue Devils, you work the least hard. We work the most efficiently.
Blue Devils is so much easier than my open class summer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like again, it's like due to like the resources that like these world class groups have.
Sure.
Like, and specifically BD, like the trust that they have in the members to like give us a free day a week.
Sure.
And like, all that stuff. Like, yeah, for sure. And like, so work harder. No, but is open class a like tougher experience than world class? 100%, I think.
Yeah, and I think that like if you were to separate work harder versus work smarter, then yes, open class worked harder than world class. Not because I think for me it's mostly just because of the age difference. Well, open class is an average age a lot younger kids, so you can't really teach the same way that you teach at a world class level because the kids are younger, and that's just a natural.
It's like a
thing.
much higher mountain to climb in terms of education, I guess.
All right, here's the last hot take we're gonna go over. It says the quality of performances still hasn't recovered from COVID. This is a very interesting take, and I honestly, in a lot of ways, I agree with this. In some ways, I agree with this comment.
I kind of agree as well. Like, I don't know, COVID completely halted the momentum of the activity and like of every quarter, you know, and we see that post-COVID with like Vanguard having to take a summer off because of like finances or whatever reason, cadets folding, you know, like also probably due to finances or like whatever else, like it just halted the like progress and like momentum of so many corps.
Yeah.
So like in that regard, yeah, for sure. Like I think that's pretty apparent.
And I also think that post-COVID, drum corps have even more obstacles to overcome than they did pre-COVID. Like, number one, there's finance things. Also, like right after COVID, there was so many like health things that they had to battle. Restrictions. Schools were not allowing corps to stay there anymore because of just all of the the obstacles there. So like there's way more obstacles now, and the price of everything has increased. Just in general, and in your life, everything has gotten more expensive in everyone's life. So drum corps has gotten harder to do post-COVID. But then also the other aspect of this is I think that with halting drum corps for the period that it did, it kind of gave a reset button.
It gave it a fresh start.
It gave it a fresh step, but it also forced people to kind of look inwards and evaluate all the things that were kind of not okay that drum corps was doing. And these things were kind of allowed to happen over up to 2019 because you had to keep going. It's like as soon as the season's over, you got to do the next one. There's no time to like stop and think about everything you're doing. But COVID really said, okay, drum corps not happening. And then when you start up again, it's like starting from fresh template. It's like, well, we can't really. We should probably do this better. So it's like it was interesting.
I think the activity like as a whole has like recovered, I guess, because I'm still every single year so impressed by every group and like it's still like boundary pushing shows and like the highest possible level of like excellence and achievement year after year. So I definitely think it like has recovered, but I do think that there you can kind of tell like with some groups that it's like it's just a little different and maybe not quite as good as like pre-COVID.
But anyways, guys, those are some really great hot takes. Please put your hottest take in the comment. I will pin.
I want to read.
I will pin the hottest comment in the comments if I find whatever the hottest comment is. So yeah, hopefully you guys don't hate a lot of these takes, but if you do, who cares?
Yeah, this is our opinions.
Yes.
Those were my opinions. I know people are, a lot of people aren't going to agree with a lot of things we said.
That's what makes this activity fun, is having your own preferences, having your own bias.
That's what makes it and the competition and like everything. Like it's just my favorite part.
But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
That's my opinion!